सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुरेव परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। Repeat after me. नमो बब्लुषाय विव्याधिनेन्नानां पतये नमः। So yesterday we saw that Bablushaya, the one who is riding on the Nandi Bhagavan. Bibharti, Bibhru is the root word. To carry, to support. Here the word support may not be applicable, but it will be to carry. So that which carries the Vahana as the Vahana. So Nandi Bhagavan is the Vahana. Nandi being the bull is also the representative of Dharma. So we see in the Bhagavat and various other references that the bull has always been on the 4 legs in the Satya Yuga. Then in the Treta Yuga it was on the 3 legs. Dwapara, that's why it is Treta and Dwapara. The 2 legs it stands on. In Satya Yuga, poor Dharma stands on only 1 leg. And that is Satya. That quality or that value which gives the strength for Dharma to stand in Kali Yuga is Satya. Yesterday we saw, therefore we see even the Don or those who are thugs, among their own group, what do they expect? Truthfulness, honesty and loyalty. So that is one value which is respected either sides of the board. So the one who is having this dharma, righteousness in their heart, in that heart alone rides the Lord in full glory. Bablushaya. Annanam pataye namaha. In various Upanishads and even in Vishnu Sahasranama and various other Shrutis, we find references Ahamannado, Hamannado, Hamannadaha, Ahagga Shloka Krita. It is from the Taittiriya Upanishad. Aham Annam, Aham Annadaha cha. So there it is said that Paramatma himself is the Anna. In another easy way to understand, Mrs. Shiva is Annapurna Devi. Right? So what is he? Annapurna Pati. Therefore, Annanam Pataye Namaha. The one who provides nourishment to the entire cosmos. And he creates it in a equal balance. Yesterday we did not see the word Vivyadhinena nam. So Vivyadhina. The root word is Vidha. Vidha means to bind. the morphed form of it becomes vyadh or vyadhi. That which binds the normal stance of various organs into limitations is called a vyadhi, either by aggravating it or by going lower than its normal state of existence. So, the Anna, one might say, if Bhagwan is the Annapati, Annanam Pati, so why can't he step up and give food for everybody? Why is there such a disparity? We find a lot of disparity, right, in this world. So, the entire world performs their own actions, karma, depending on their purva vasana, various tendencies. And these various tendencies express themselves in the form of a very strong pattern of our own likes and dislikes. Irrespective of how we are, depending on how we have done the actions, with what integrity, with what amount of the enthusiasm, when the actions thus performed yield different results. A classic example that can be taken is in a classroom. We find that there are about how many students usually in a ISD here? 40, 50, 20, 25? Okay, handleable group. So, 20, 25 per classroom. The teacher teaches, even if the teacher is an excellent teacher, teaches to the entire classroom, but each student grasps differently. The teacher is not sitting there to be partial to some students and pass on special notes, and to some he does not pass. It does not happen. The teacher is speaking uniformly to everybody. Each one understands. Now, even here in this environment right now, yesterday there was a new person who came and said, Swamiji, can I join? I said, I don't know, but try. He asked very sincerely if I can understand and follow the subject. I said, try. So he came in, and after the class was over, he texts me saying, bouncer pe bouncer, meaning everything went above, couldn't grasp much. So I had already suggested to him, sit in the very end. If you think that it is becoming too much to handle, you can slip out very easily without anybody noticing or getting disturbed. So in each environment, we grasp according to our existing tendencies. And what does Paramatma do? He uses this natural law and provides anna based on our own purva vasana krita, punya or papa. Vivyadhina, the one who binds or controls, who has to get how much. Though he is the pati of the entire nourishment, but in order to acquire that, we have to qualify with our own punya and papa. Let me remind here, a gentle reminder, that seeing somebody hungry, or for that matter in need, and turning our head away, thinking or assuming, oh, that is his purva krita papa. Thus thereby, what are we acquiring? That goes into the minus account, the papa account. Because sometimes when I sit around and people are talking about Hindu concepts, then they end up saying there is a generic kind of apathy that you find, and that apathy is the wrong understanding of this. Destiny, क्या करें, उसके सिर पे लिखा था, it was written on his forehead, therefore what can we do? So whatever you can do, do it and give out, reach out to those who are in need. That is our plus point, and it is our opportunity to serve Paramatma in that form. Having said that, but as Paramatma, he remains impartial, and he puts this little valve into the process of karma. Now, Vivyadhina can otherwise be explained in very simple terms, that Paramatma gives what we deserve and may not give what we desire. As simple as that. Because even as parents, as mortals, when we look at our own children, they ask certain things which we know they may not be able to handle. So at that time, what do? You snatch things away, and by snatching things away, are you doing good for that kid or are you doing bad for that kid? Immediate reaction, you will see that they will start crying, and there is a lot of emotional atyachar there. You will try to emotionally blackmail the parents, I'll cry, I'll do whatever. This you will not get. I'll make it a very simple example. If there is a knife and if there is a child who is still crawling age, anything shining is very attractive. And what is their first means of exploring the world around them? Anything that they can lay their hands on, first thing that they would do is has to go into their mouth. Whether it is a pen, whether it is a cell phone, whatever it is. Any dirt or anything also that you find, first thing that they do is put it in their mouth. Remember the famous story of Bhagavan Krishna? Balarama goes, complains that your favorite son is eating all the dirt from the floor. Now Maya Yashoda comes and says, open your mouth. It's like Johnny, yes papa. Open your mouth. So he opens and she gets a jolt, because what she sees, don't worry, sit down, there is somebody repairing. So can we get back? Refocus. So she gets a jolt that, what am I seeing, all the entire cosmos in there? And before Yashoda ji, if she understands that he is Paramatma and then starts treating him as one, then all his fun being a child would be lost. So immediately he changes the plan and scenario and suddenly starts crying. And as soon as the mother sees him crying, and she says, poor thing, must have been Balarama, must have seen something else. I am seeing something else totally. Maybe it's my imagination, poor kid is crying, and she grabs him and hugs him. The first thing that they do is put it in the mouth. Now the child is crawling towards that knife. As soon as you see that the child is crawling towards the knife. As a mother, what would you do? Or as a parent, what would you do? As an adult, what would you do? You don't need to be a parent. Whichever is closer, you will grab that fast. Right? If the kid is closer to you, you will grab the kid. If the knife is closer to you, you grab the knife. Make sure that the kid doesn't get it. And what is the reaction of this kid? Goes off in the wireless communication. Start crying. So Paramatma gives what we deserve, though he is the Annapati. Now moving forward, repeat after me. Namo Harikeshaya Upavitine Pushtanam Pataye Namaha नमो हरिकेशायोपवीतिने पुष्टानाम पतये नमः. Namaha, salutations. Salutations to whom? Harikeshaya. Harikeshaya, the one who has dark black hair. Now, what they want to indicate from that is that he is ever youthful. He does not reach a stage wherein, if you are blessed with any left on that head, to turn into black, turn into white or grey. How much ever we may want to cover, it will reveal itself. But he is eternally youthful. Harikesha also means that it is the jata, that he is not just youthful, but he is also a nitya tapasvin, the one who is constantly in tapascharya. Harikeshaya. So, to such Harikesha, the one who is eternal, the one who is adorned with upavitine. Upavitine, there is the sacred thread which has to go from the left shoulder down to your right, crisscross. And if you want to see how it has to be worn, you can see either Hanumanji or Ramji, both of them have it on their shoulder. Upavitine, adorned with the upavita. It is that thread which has got a granthi called Brahma Granthi, which you hold on to while you chant your Gayatri mantra, when it is for those of them who have it on, or sometimes when there is a special puja at home. So, for that very purpose you pull it out and then wear it, and then yathasthanam pratisthapayami, it is safely placed somewhere where it is remembered. Oh, on the nail? Maybe, okay, maybe if it can be remembered. I used to know in the hostel there was this fellow who used to have the Yajnopavita, but whenever he would eat some non-vegetarian, he would pull that off, turn it on to the nail and then place the mirror on it so that he cannot see it, and then finish it, and the next day morning after shower when he wear it again. It is that thread which has lost its significance, and which you may see that whenever there are big functions, and the last minute decoration and other things, you require certain pins and things like that, and the easy place to find is the mother's neck. Where would you find it? On the Mangal Sutra, if that also is being worn. Similarly, for the men, the key chain or the keys and such things are tied into that Yajnopavita. Or it is that thread which is often used by people who cannot reach those unreachable corners of their back. When it starts itching, they scratch with it. I was not doing a dance move. They scratch with it. And the best utility that I had ever seen, which shocked me, was in Kashi. The brahmacharis, must be from the local brahmacharis, they came out, took a dip and put on the bhasma, the sacred ash. And after having smeared it, there has to be tripundarika, meaning 3 lines. So, in order to form that line, each one parasparam bhavayantaha, helps each other. So they take their Yajnopavita and draw 2 lines in between. Because it's already moist, it takes away the vibhuti and makes that clear, distinct 3 marks. I was like jaw dropped saying, aise bhi hota hai. It can be used even this way. But it is supposed to be the sacred thread, that which is introduced to the child when the child is about 4-5 years age, before going to Gurukula. That is offered as the first samskara, so that there is a Nitya Gayatri Upasana being performed by that child up until he crosses, that child becomes the Vanaprasthi. After the Vanaprastha, entering into the sannyasa is when you finally remove that thread. Up until then you wear it. So such thread is adorning Bhagavan Shiva. Upavitine Pushtanam Pataye Namaha. As though continuing the thought from the earlier mantra, Annanam Pataye Namaha, that he provides food, nourishment. Pushtanam Pataye Namaha. He is also the pati of all kind of pushti, nourishment. Therefore, there is one beautiful temple called Jageshwara. Jageshwara is about 100 kilometers further up from Nainital, Almora, Nainital. There is the only place where I found Annapurna Devi being worshipped as Pushtivardhini Devi. He is Pushtanam Pataye Namaha and she is worshipped there as Pushtivardhini Devi. And this is also mentioned in this very Rudradhyayi, in the most famous mantra of Rudradhyayi. Trayambakam yajamahe sugandhim pushtivardhinim. So he is the one who provides that nourishment and also enhances it. Pushtanam Pataye Namaha. Salutations to the one who has, who is ever youthful, indicated through the black hair, matted hair. The one who has the holy thread on his shoulder, and he is the Lord of all that which can nourish us. Pushtanam Pataye Namaha. Harika, one commentator went into the further description of Harika, Harikesha, right? So Harikesha, he defines it as Harika Isha. Harika means a handsome horse. Harika means a handsome horse. Specific quality of that horse is not just handsome, but it is also in that deep yellow color, brownish yellow color or reddish brownish yellow color. It is supposed to be the best of the stallions, the color of it. Harika Isha, the one who is the lord of the horse. Therefore, we have to now interpret it. Now, what does that interpretation mean? Harika or the horse is the representative of all our indriyas. Of all our indriyas, it is representing, the horse is the representative. And the yellow color is representing or signifying its sanctity. Meaning the entire organs of perception and action are sanctified. Therefore, Harikesha means, Harika means Shuddha Karma. That karma which has got its purity, chastity and as well as integrity in it. Purity of intention, purity of purpose, chastity and integrity. Now, such one who has mastered every action in their life to express out with a kind of purity, such one alone is qualified to wear the Upavita. It signifies that amount of purity, wherein every action that is expressed out, with whatever indriyas that it is expressed out, it is expressed in that highest state of purity. Harikeshaya Upavitine. So one commentator makes a very recent commentator. He makes a very funny interpretation, and he puts it that this is just a funny interpretation. He says that Harika also can mean green. So it is a funny way to look at it, that somebody's hair is green. He is something like hip and happening, wearing green colored hair. This is no, it is that his hair is ever youthful, ever green. So when you use that way, that it is evergreen, meaning he is always youthful. Youthful, and all the organs of perception action are tuned to that highest state of purity, and it expresses that Shuddha karma alone. Having done that Shuddha karma, wearing that Upavita. So he is a Nitya Sanyas, not Sanyas, Nitya Tapasvi, and he is Nitya Yavvana, he is ever youthful. And Samaveda refers to Bhagavan Shiva as the Adi Brahmana. Adi Brahmana, the one who is qualified to wear the Upavita. Because Harika Isha, Hari meaning Bhagavan Vishnu, Ka represents Brahma, Isha, the one who is also the Lord of both Brahma and Vishnu. He is the Adi Brahmana. So if you look into the Shiva Purana or the Shiva Smriti Granthas, their understanding of the entire creation is that the creation starts from the Adi Purusha, and that Adi Purusha is represented as Sadashiva. And when that Sadashiva wanted to create, his Shakti expresses forth. And the moment his Shakti expresses forth, one half of him becomes the Kameshwara, the other half of him becomes Kameshwari. And that unified presence of Kameshwara and Kameshwari is also known as Ardhanarishwara. That he is the Ardhanarishwara, the Adi Purusha. And that Adi Purusha as the Adi Brahmana, Tam Deveshu Adi Brahmanosi. Of all these gods, O Lord Shiva, you are the one who is the Adi Purusha. Meaning he is Swayam Pushtaha. He is ever youthful, he is always aligned his actions and expresses forth with that amount of purity. Swayam Pushtaha. Paranapi, meaning all those who are dedicated or devoted seeking that Lord, even them he blesses with Pushti, nourishes. Swayam Pushtaha means what? So the Swayam Pushtaha definition, as I was reading it, Bhatta Bhaskara, he says, Nitya Shuddha Buddha Mukta. It immediately reflected that, our Gurudev's last name in 108 names, Nitya Shuddha Buddha Mukta. Atayeva Swayam Pushtaha. He is Nitya. Nitya meaning that which is eternal. Anything that which is eternal, anything that lasts over a period of time, at least in our mortal world, it starts stagnating and starts deteriorating. Though this Paramatma is eternal, he is Shuddha. There are no blemishes in that Paramatma. That there is no stagnation and there is no scope of any blemishes to exist. So Nitya and Shuddha. there are things in this nature which seem to be eternal, which are pure, but they are jada. Therefore, the next word to qualify is nityancha, shuddhancha, buddhancha. Buddha means the one who is ever awareful, conscious. Nitya Shuddha Buddha. Therefore Mukta. Mukta, ever liberated. Swayam Pushtaha. So what does he bless all the seekers with? So in the Shruti, they mention about Dasha Pushtayah. 10 kinds of pushti that can be blessed by the Lord. What are these 10 kinds of pushtis? Again, Bhatta Bhaskara, as a commentator, he helps us define these 10. Vak pushti, jnana pushti, sharirendriya pushti, dhanadhanya pushti, praja pushti, pashu pushti, grama pushti, dharma pushti. Vak pushti. It is only the human being who has to be taught everything. The rest of the creation doesn't need that kind of a prep work. They are born with their natural instincts and reflections. They naturally tend to learn and grow. A human being has to be taught. So the entire vocabulary has to be taught. After the child is born, once the child, you observe that is picking up everything that you utter, that is when you get a big gate onto your words. Until then, you have not been so very careful about what you speak. But as the child grows, you are almost about to scream some cuss word there. And you stop yourself. You block yourself. Because there would be those awkward moments when the child suddenly blurts out something which is not supposed to be their vocabulary. And you have all these friends, family gathering, and suddenly the child blurts out this word, and you are like awkwardly looking at him. He is just repeating all that which he listens to. That is the best cop out that we can, explanation that we can come up with. And then you make yourself conscious. Okay, it is not just about being able to speak, but what I speak has to be full in itself. And one such that we can refer to, who was praised by the Lord for having such amazing control, Vak Patutvam, is our Hanumanji. He knew how to speak, how much to speak, when not to speak. He had amazing control over his Vak. Some instances that can be taken for our understanding. That they have come all the way, they have found Sita ji, they have come back. They come straight to Kishkinda. And Ramji is eagerly waiting. This is called project report. And we have to learn from Hanumanji. How do you do the project report? You don't start, you know Lord, when we started from here, when we started walking, you can narrate that later. Do you know what the sharpener told the pencil? Don't go round and round and round. Come to the point. You have to be specific in those choice of words. So what does, Valmiki Ramayana puts it so beautifully. It says, Drashta Maya Sita. The first word that is Drashta Maya. We found her. And then later on he gives what Sita ji is expecting or what conditions that she is in. But he does not brag about all the various things that he has done. It's after the report is done, they go into the Madhuvana. All these soldiers, instead of going and reporting to Sugriva, they go directly into Madhuvana, whose the access of that garden was only for Sugriva. And they almost devour the entire garden of all its fruits and madhu, the nectar and other things. So Sugriva he thinks, okay, that is their way of reporting. If they have dared enter there, they must have really accomplished it, and they deserve it. So then he sends his personal, they said, after they are done with Madhuvana, ask them to come to me. Hanumanji went straight to her, Bhagavan Ramchandra ji spoke everything, gave the details, did not utter a single word about himself. It was only later that Jambavan is requested by Bhagavan to report details. And while Jambavan was doing the reporting, one part of it, Hanumanji felt a little lump in his throat. Hanuman also burnt Lanka. Then suddenly Bhagavan Ramchandra ji raises his eyebrows to look at Hanuman. He said, oh boy, this was not a part of my job description. Out of scope, and I did something, I don't know if Bhagavan there will approve of what I have done or not. Judging his inconvenience there, Bhagavan looks at Hanumanji and he says, I am truptaha. Because I know that if you have done this, you have much more to report about Lanka city. Until asked for further details, he does not utter a single word about projecting himself as a doer. Okay. Another incident of Vakpatu, not just about speaking, but about ability to keep quiet. See, Vakpatutvam has both sides. The ability to speak as well as not speak when not required. In today's culture or today's environment, we often hear many, they come up and they say, if I were you, I have been there, but if I were you, I would. Hanumanji had gone to Lanka. He had met with Vibhishana. Vibhishana had given him the secret passage into Ashoka Vatika. It was all reported in his project report. And Bhagavan knew that Hanuman has met Vibhishana. Vibhishana is kicked out from Lanka and he has come back to seek refuge under Bhagavan Ramchandra ji. And everybody says, tie them down, imprison them, various things. So he calls for a meeting. What does that CNN call it? Situation room. So he calls for a situation room, analysis. So everybody gathers there. He goes through Sugriva. Sugriva says, imprison them. And various other ministers that were there. He goes through everybody. Hanumanji does not step in. Out of his turn, he does not step in. But Lord, I met him, he helped me. He doesn't say it. He knows that the Lord knows it. And after he has spoken with everybody, then he turns to Hanumanji. Hanuman, I have heard everybody. Now, can I have your expert opinion? He said, he is somebody trustworthy. If he is himself come here seeking refuge, I think, Lord, we should be able to accommodate him. I have seen him help. I have seen him constantly devoted unto you. And that is when he opens up. Vak. Vak pushtihi. Jnana pushtihi. Jnana pushtihi is like, the crux of entire life, boiling down to wisdom. It should boil down to that wisdom. Jnana pushtihi. Now, most of the times when we talk about jnana, it is to know lot of things about lot of things. It is not just about knowing how we can work with lot of things, but also to know how many things will not work and how to control the situation by knowing when to apply that jnana and in what completeness that jnana has to be applied. To make it more clear, whenever we plan for various activities, there should always be a strategic planning for in case of eventualities. One should have the thoroughness of its entire functionality and also have the entire knowledge of how it can fail. And looking at how it can fail, also have the backups. If this goes wrong, being ready to patch in. That is called pushti, the fulfillment of having jnana. I very clearly remember it had become a talk of most of the newspapers back then, that Indira Gandhi had gone to UN to give a speech. And it is only after that incident that she started wearing a kind of a thread or something that keeps those two, what do you call them, for the spectacles, the glasses, the chain that, and it would keep hanging on her neck. So she pulled her glasses out and she was on the podium, and it was one of those important decisive meetings, and India's opinion was also quite valuable there. She steps in, pulls her glasses out, slips, falls and breaks right on the floor. Her PA, who was there, very calmly he walks up to her, pulls out a spare and hands it to her, gathers that broken pieces and walks out very calmly. And before even starting to speak about the topic that she has to speak, she first compliments having such a PA, who had planned not just for her glasses to be there, but also carry a spare in case of something go wrong. Isn't that called maturity of jnana? Such one is called jnana pushti. Vak pushti, jnana pushti, sharira pushti. Sharira pushti, bhadram karnebhi shrunuyama devaah bhadram pashyemakshabhir yatraah sthirairangai tuštuvagum. Tuštuvan, may the entire body, the all limbs that I have, may they all be functional. May they all function with the maximum. Sharira pushti. Sharira pushti does not mean that somebody who is obese. In some colloquial languages I hear that somebody is called Sharira pushti is somebody who is put on lot of weight and looks chubby. Hushta pushta. Not that way. It is when all the limbs are in its optimal state of functionality. Sharira pushti. Indriya pushti. That all the Indriya Golakas are able to function in their specific field flawlessly without having to take refuge of any aid as long as possible. What to do if you know, I have told you this also earlier, that I used to think that many of the elders, when they start wearing glasses, it was just a fashion statement, and that was my imagination. And the reason was that they would put on the glasses for everything else, but to read, they would take their glasses off and read. Like, I thought you use glasses so that you can see better, read better. To read you have to take it out, but for everything else you are wearing it. So fashion. There are some great Mahatmas that I have had opportunity to come across. At 80, 85, every limb, every organ of theirs is like, every indriya is so sharp and functional that the vision is perfect, hearing is so amazing, and their intellect also, even at that age, is sharp. Indriya pushti, dhana pushti. Many of the Yuva Kendra, they get to this concept that we should not be aggrandizing, we should not aim for a lot of wealth and things like that, we should be happy with what you have. So I knew the group of students that were there, they had discussed earlier this particular point, so I took that entire topic in a totally different twist. So the crux of that entire discussion was that make sure that you learn enough so that you can earn 10 times what you can spend. So what Swamiji, the entire scriptures say, na karmana, na prajaya, and you are saying that you have to earn. I said, if you don't earn, how can you do good to this society? Dhana pushti is also required. Dhanam dhanyam bahuputra labham shatasam vatsaram dirgham ayuhu. We have dealt with this mantra, we have gone through the meaning. Where does this mantra come? Shri Suktam, Shriye Jata Shriya Niryaya Shriyam Vayo Janitribhyo Dadatu. Dhana pushti. Dhanya pushti. Dhanya pushti, the earlier way of living was there was no need for any hotels anywhere in Bharatavarsha. In fact, one of the definitions of Kali Yuga is, that is when I realized and I made the study further, one of the definitions of Kali Yuga is that age, rather that the word used, wretched age, wherein you will have to buy food and water. And selling food and water, it becomes the greatest business. See, dhanya pushti, enough of grains and all the raw material required for making food, so that anybody coming in does not go hungry from the house. I think that one tradition got into our blood quite deep. Because anybody coming at any time of the day or night, we end up offering, thoda sa chai piyoge, little chai, or something to eat. Anybody coming to us, it is considered as improper, amaryada, when you send somebody from your home without eating food. So, if you have to provide for all that, you should have food in excess, so that you can provide for all those who can be supported. Dhanya pushti, praja pushti. Now, here I may appear quite aggressive, but bear with me. These days there are a couple of trends that I see in our next generation. First thing is, by the time they get married, what age do they get married at? 30, 35? 30, 35. After getting married, they say that they need to have at least 3-4 years to understand each other. And by the time, the biological clock is already clicking really fast. And by the time they bear children, imagine that by the time their children become 20-25-year-old, how old are these parents? Easily 60-65. उस उम्र में दादाजी बनने के लायक हो. And the second thing is, another trend that is observed is, they get married and they prefer to be dinks. I have defined dinks, right? Double income, no kids. Too much of responsibility, Swamiji. It's a package deal. You get married, and within the first 3-4 years, production engineering is accomplished. That you have Chinnu, Minnu, Tinku, Pinku, a handful of them. Praja Santati, the continuation of progeny, is considered as one of the grace, one of the blessings of the Lord. Praja Pushtihi. There is another kind of praja as well. This is called Bindu Santati. Bindu Santati, that which is born out of the sperm and the ovum. The second kind of Santati is called Nada Santati. Nada Santati, that the one who is educated, the one who has learnt, the one who has mastered a specific field, has to give that knowledge to the next generation without expecting anything, and create that praja who can get expert in that particular field. Knowledge, today we say we have patented it, we have royalties over it. Knowledge is not something that can be patented. All that which is there already in the Vedas, and that which is being shared, share liberally. There is a beautiful Subhashita which says that there is only one dhana. The rest of the dhana, rest of the wealth, as you spend, it diminishes. Vyaye krite vardhata eva nityam vidyadhanam sarvadhana pradanam. As you spend, as you keep giving this knowledge to as many, the depth in that knowledge gets deeper and deeper. For many whom I keep requesting to join as Balavihar teachers, oh, sorry, I don't know anything, I don't know if I will be qualified, I don't know. I tell them that the best way to learn is to try teaching it. I can vouch for that, because that is what Gurudev did to all of us. I remember almost about 23, 24 years ago, a bunch of us who had started a new Yuva Kendra group, and we had gone there with our issues to talk to Guruji, to Gurudev, and said, we don't have a facilitator who can conduct the self-unfoldment. So, I was that one who had a big mouth, so I was the one who was talking on behalf of everybody. I don't know how the situation would have been if somebody else was speaking. So, Gurudev looked and smiled, and he leaned towards a desk and pulled out a book. It was the old copy of Self-Unfoldment, yellow color, and there he signs, and he thrusts it into my hand. Says, you don't need a facilitator, you start facilitating. And to speak the fact, I was the youngest of the entire group. Rest of them were already in the college. I was the only one who was still in the school. So I looked at everybody like, please rescue me. This is not something that I had signed up for. So Gurudev tapped my shoulder as I was looking behind. He said, you read and try to make sure that what you read, how well you can apply. And that which you are successful in your application, come back and share it with everybody in the group. Suddenly a huge task. And as I started reading and started trying to teach, that is when things started becoming clearer and clearer. Even after 24 years, now when I read that same book, Self-Unfoldment, again, it is an amazing book. It was well written even for a beginner to get a grip at spiritual unfoldment. As somebody who has been practicing it for years, when you again read it, it offers a totally different depth. Therefore, there is nothing, no other better platform to learn than teaching. Vyaye krite vardhata eva nityam. If we know sincerely to reach out to the next generation and teach them what we understand the best, it takes such deep roots within. The Praja, here Praja, this was the Nada Santati, Nada Praja. Pashu, Pashu, livestock. In those days also wealth was discussed, or they used to assess the wealth of a nation by stocks, but that was livestock, and today it is the bulls and the bears. Did I get it right? How the graph goes there, that stock exchange decides the, when you can assess the wealth of the nation, company, whatever it is. Now, the Pashu Santati to have few cows, so that you don't now need to complain, you can maintain organic milk at home, organic fresh milk at home, freshly taken from the udders of the cow. The various kinds of Pashu Santati. So that Pashu was also a part of Pushti. Grama Pushtihi. Grama Pushtihi. The entire community has to be strengthened, and each one of us living in that community, it becomes our responsibility to give back to that community more than what we can gain from that community. That is called Grama Pushti. We cannot live like sponges, keep sucking it from every environment that we live in. unless some external force squeezes it out of us, and then we painfully start saying, no, I had to give, The entire society has to be supported. Grama, community, has to be supported by that individual, that pushti, grama pushtihi. On a different level, grama pushti also means having everything that can make that entire community self-sustained. That is also grama pushti. That it has a water source, it has everything that that community needs from womb to the tomb. So there were people who were specifically trained to be blacksmiths, there were some who were specifically trained to be the pujari or the pandit, there were some specifically trained to be in one particular. All these put together, the entire grama, entire community became self-sufficient. It had everything to live by, all by itself. Grama pushtihi. And then the last pushtihi is dharma pushtihi. We have 4 purusharthas. What are they? Dharma, artha, kama, moksha. Right? They did not say it as moksha. I mean, the starting one was never anything other than dharma. Many of us Hindus, when we start with religion, we directly start with moksha. Before we get to the moksha quotient, is our dharma quotient full? That the entire kama and artha has to be earned and executed the most righteous way. I have said this earlier also, that how much should one earn being in the grihastha ashrama? Grihastha ashrama is not me, my wife and my children. Grihastha ashrama is responsible for the brahmacharya ashrama, vanaprastha ashrama and the sannyas ashrama. So you have to support, being in the grihastha ashrama, the gurukula, or that where education is given. You have to support that. You have to support the vanaprastha because you are their social security. There is no other 401k or some social security funds. The children are the one who hold that responsibility for the earlier generation. And those who are virakta, those who have taken to sannyasa, to find them and feed them is also a responsibility of the grihastha. To pay the taxes is the responsibility of grihastha. So the earning of the grihastha, they said, whatever are your needs, say it is X amount, not wants, needs, X amount, whatever is the amount, times 5 should be the income. Look at Bhagwan Manu's grand scheme of things, plan of things. Not knowing this, we end up commenting on our own religion, saying that we should also have like the other religions have it. 10% of our income. I said, who said 10%? I said 1/5 of your income. मेरा हक बनता है. It is for the entire society to thrive. This dharma pushti, earning, and then performing the righteous deeds is the second. Third one, performing all the samskaras that are required for self as well as that for whom we are responsible for. That is also dharma pushti. There are 42 samskaras. Of those 42 samskaras, 16 are considered as very important. Of those 16 samskaras, 12 are mandatory. From the what is it called, Garbhadhana, conceiving the child in the Garbha, all the way up until the Dahana. Even that last is called a samskara, Dahana samskara. So, to perform all these things and to pay our tributes annually to the ones who have passed away also forms the part of dharma, dharma pushtihi. So, here Swayam Pushtaha, Paramatma is ever youthful, Nitya Buddha Mukta Swarupaha, and he blesses everyone with this kind of pushti. Now, moving forward, repeat after me. Namo bhavasya hetyai jagatam pataye namaha. If you have seen a pattern in this entire Anuvaka, we are talking about the Sarvabhaumatva of Paramatma. He is the boss of everything. Therefore, in every mantra that we are reading, we are seeing the last but one word, that he is considered as the Pati of everything. He is the Lord of everything. So, what is the Sarvabhaumatva? Sarvabhaumatva, the one who has absolute command over everything. Namo bhavasya hetyai jagatam pataye namaha. This is a very important mantra of entire Rudra. Why? First, he is referred here as Jagannatha, Jagatam Pataye Namaha. Who is the Lord of this entire universe? Jagadishwara. That is one reason. The second reason is Namaha, salutations to Bhavasya Hetyai. Bhavasya, of all that which we have a tendency to become, meaning the tendency to become, Hetyai, the one who has the capacity to destroy. To such Rudra, who has the capacity to destroy, because he is the Jagadishwara, my salutations. The root word for Bhavasya or Bhava is Bhu Dhatu. Bhu, to be. We are all called human beings. Instead of being human beings, we end up as human doings, constantly busy doing one thing or the other. We seldom have an opportunity to just be. I think I just got a good topic for my next camp. The Nike's ad is just do it, right? Similarly, just be. Tattvamasi, just be. What a revelation. I am just basking in the revelation for a moment. Just be. We seldom have a moment to be. What are we busy in? We are busy consumed in a constant habitual practice of becoming. Therefore, one of the common questions that an adult asks a child as soon as you see the child, what do you want to become? And if the child turns around and says, nothing, I just love being, you will be shocked. See, at a tamasic stage, you whip the tamasic mind and show them that you have to become somebody. Rajasikta is taught. But once you pick on that Rajasikata has to be dedicated to a higher altar. Instead, we get stuck the entire life with the Rajasic mode, which becomes our mold of existence. So, we learn to quickly change hats, change masks according to different situations. So, in every situation, we start becoming what that situation is demanding out of me. When I am with my parents, what do I become? A child, a son or a daughter. When I am with my siblings, what do I become? A brother or a sister. When I am with my spouse, what do I become? So, one very elderly gentleman, he said, miserable. I said, you can only vouch for it, I can only repeat what you said. Every emotion that passes by, we have made it a habitual practice to become whatever that emotion is thrusting on us. Why are you like that? It is not that I have a sad thought or I had a sad experience. The answer is, I am sad. I have become sad. Whatever be the emotion that passes by, I have this tendency, I have this practice, I have this constant molding to become whatever is the environment. Whether it is outside or inside. So, that is called, that tendency is called Bhava Roga. And what is Bhagavan Shiva? Bhava Roga Bhaishaja. Bishak. Bishak meaning the doctor for this Bhava Roga. And this is the same concept which is taken by many poets in trying to say that my life, which is the Bhava Sagara, where am I? Drowning in that Sagara. Oh Lord, you came to protect Gajendra, you came to protect Ajamila, you came to protect various of these. What wrong did I do? I am also thinking of you, please come protect. It is that Bhava Sagara. As soon as it is mentioned as Bhava Sagara, we visualize that it must be an ocean and I am drowning. It is not a literal ocean, it is just that these different kinds of becomings that we have trapped ourselves in. They may be small little threads of things that we have tied ourselves with, but they are in such plenty that we are bound. Gulliver or Gulliver, what travels? You got the. So when his ship meets a, whatever the high wave, and it breaks down, and he is found, he thinks he is dreaming, but as he is trying to get up, he cannot. He sees all these small Lilliputians. That is the word Lilliput comes from. When you see somebody short, to nickname there are Lilliputs. So all these small creatures, and the little thread that they are carrying, he sees that it is not that difficult to break, but they have bound him in such different directions with so many of these threads. Though feeble, he is not able to break free from them. We are also like that. We bind ourselves with these small, but chota is to, thoda si to hai, little. But this little will only finally bring in the doomsday. We are so wound up in the act of becoming. So that is called bhavasya. That is the meaning of bhava. And what is he? Hetyai. Heti is a ayudha, a weapon. So here Bhagavan himself is referred to as the weapon. He is not referred to as somebody holding the weapon. He says Bhagavan himself is the weapon to cut the entire bhava. Or Bhatta Bhaskar ji, he comments, Bhavaha samsaraha hetihi ayudham samsarasya kshetre. Kshetre, the one who destroys this bhavasagara, samsara sagara, to such one is my salutations. Up until now, the earlier 5 mantras, we have worshipped various Digdevatas. Here, to include every aspect of this cosmos, he is referred to as Jagat Pati, Jagatam Pataye Namaha, as the Jagadishwara. Now, how does he cut this Bhavasagara? He cuts that Bhavasagara by appearing himself as none other than the Guru. Therefore, as Bhagavan Vishnu's many avatars that we see as the protector, we see Bhagavan Shiva's various avatars in the form of a Guru. So he comes in the form of a Guru and gives us the knowledge of, they say, Tattvamasyadi Janya Vrittihi. Janya Vrittihi. There is a wrong conviction that my success, my existence and my worthiness is depending on what I can become. That wrong conviction has to be broken, because that wrong conviction comes forth from ajnana. Ajnana, ignorance. Here we are not talking about ajnana of physics or bhugola, khagola. We are not talking about any of these sciences. It is the ajnana of one's own true nature. If ajnana is the problem, what should be the solution? Jnana should be the solution. See, the sooner we understand this, the faster we can grow, the sturdier the sturdier is our growth in our spiritual unfoldment. See, when you go to a doctor, supposing you have been coughing your lungs out, and you go to the doctor, what should the doctor look at? The root cause which is triggering that problem. You cannot give any which medicine and say keep trying it, dekhenge, try it. They call it hit and trial method. You try it, laga to laga, nahi laga to nahi laga. You cannot do that. You have to first identify the root cause. What is the root cause of our this pathetic state of becoming? It is our ajnana. And how can ajnana be removed? Only through jnana. That is why the Upanishads again and again tell us the direct message. And what is the direct message? Jnanat evatu kaivalyam. Liberation or moksha can happen only through jnana. If you remember, I keep giving you a couple of ridiculous examples. Supposing this hall was dark, blinding dark. How do you remove the darkness? By lighting a lamp. Can I bring a powerful vacuum cleaner with the intent that I will suck the darkness out? Punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam, punarapi janani jathare shayanam. We keep continuing the cycle. Or can I say that I will bring in a powerful bleach, spray it around, and darkness will eventually be cleared. Hoga kya? Therefore, in the Guru Stotram we say Ajnana Timirandhasya Jnana Anjana Shalakaya. Ajnana can be removed by Jnana. Timira can be removed by Anjana. Ajnana, Timira, Andhakara can be removed by Shalaka. Shalaka, the torch. A lit torch. Each one as they have respective methods to clear up that which is the cause. So finally it has to come to what? Tattvamasyadi janya vrittihi. All the earlier confusions have to be removed, all the doubts have to be cleared from the intellect. In order to remove that, there is an extensive study of the Shastra. What does the Shastra, in other words? Shastra is a medicine for, aushadha for buddhi kanduti. Kanduti means itch. The itch of the intellect to constantly doubt and not be clear, that is removed through the Shastra Jnana. Once that buddhi is put to rest, then the Tattvamasyadi, meaning that the Mahavakyas, you contemplate on them. Contemplate on them as to how or why I am that self or that truth alone. How I cannot be anything other than that. From that perspective, though a recent Kavi, a couple of centuries ago, but his work, it's one of my favorite works. It's Advaita Makaranda. What Lakshmidhara Kavi, what amazing clarity and directness that he speaks with. He says in the very first or second shloka, he says, I am, it proves my existence. I know that I am, it proves my consciousness. I cannot be anything other than. Now, why do I love myself? It is because it is my nature of Ananda. That is why I love myself. But what I end up interpreting loving myself as, maybe I am caught up in things, but otherwise it is very straightforward and clear. Right in the bang opening shloka, he doesn't go here and there. He says, this is what the Mahavakya should lead to, that I am this truth. And it is this Bhagavan, Lord Shiva, who comes in the form of Guru to give us this very knowledge. This is another test. There are lots of gurus these days, right? Guru market is quite thriving these days. And we keep having doubts. How do I identify the one, he is the right one for me? Do they guide you directly to this knowledge or not? Anything else, there is something hidden. It is as clear as that. If the focus is not on jnana, which is the only method to attain moksha, whatever else that you do in the name of spirituality, it is pure gymnastics. Therefore, this particular mantra has got a very specific place amongst all the mantras of the Rudradhyayi. Bhavasya hetyai jagatam pataye namaha. In fact, there is a Mahatma who says that those of you who find it difficult to find a guru, those of you who find it difficult to understand who can be my guru, if you can repeat this mantra as japa with the sankalpa that, oh Lord, lead me to that guru, you will be led to that guru who can unfold you directly to that truth. Bhavasya hetyai jagatam pataye namaha. That is why this mantra is that important of all the mantras in the Rudradhyayi. We will continue tomorrow. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.